Hello guys, Beastie here. So I just made this whole video that I'm about to do again for 18 minutes, and then I realized that my microphone was not on. So those were 18 minutes that I'll never get back. But anyway, the topic of today's video is a tutorial or guide how to execute a TvP build order that's very good, that's very safe, very good for ladder, very good for tournament play. And if you guys watch tournaments or just follow the pro player streaming, you probably have seen this build. But I will go in details, how to execute it, why is it good, what is it good against, and so on. So let's just get into it. So this is a game that I've played against. Sorry, I have to check if my mic is on this time. Okay, it is. Good. Let's go. So this is a game that I played in Go for SC2 last week against DNS. So in a tournament. So what you want to do is start with a wall at your ramp, like always against Protoss, because of the adepts shading in. So you start the depot in 14 supply, followed up by gas and 15 supply. So this build is fast expand, but with gas first. The SCV building the depot goes on to make the barracks on 16 supply. And usually, if it's a two-player map, I scout with this SCV when the barracks is done. So I don't send the SCV earlier, but because this is a four-player map and you don't always get to scout your opponent, I sent my scout on 18 supply just to make sure that I actually get to scout my opponent and I don't get one based all in or something like that. So you can see the SCV is going out, trying to scout. I see the probe coming from that side, so actually no, he's on the bottom side, which was very lucky for me. Probe is tasing me a bit, but as the barrack finishes, you want to send one of your SCVs to the natural and start CC. So people ask me very often, what am I actually scouting when I coach people? They're asking, what am I actually scouting for with this SCV? I send it to their base, but I actually don't know what I'm looking for. So this SCV's job is to just see if the Protoss expand or not. So when the SCV arrives to the base, if there's no expand, that means they're one basing you. They're pylon rushing you, proxy roboing you, proxy gating you, proxy stargating you, or just pylon rushing into expand. So as you can see, this SCV, after seeing that he's here, especially when the probe was coming from the direction it was coming from into my base, I'm going straight for the natural and just seeing if he has an expand. I see an expand. I don't really care for anything else. The SCV did its job and it's going home. I know that there's no one base. It's probably going to get followed up by double gas, so the SCV is just going home. And back at home, I'll show you guys how you transition from here on out. So after the Reaper is done, making reactor on the barracks, started factory. As soon as you have 100 gas, you can see I just have 8 now. After the Reaper is done, you want to send the Reaper around outside of your natural, just to make sure that the probe is not there. That's going to come back to, double scout you or to do a pylon rush maybe after expanding, or just a proxy pylon or anything in general. So you can see the Reaper is going to be checking around everywhere around these bushes just to see if the probe stuck around and kill it if she did. So after getting the factory, the next thing you want to do is on 22 supply, you want to add a supply depot. Still walling off. This would be a full wall on most of the maps, but because this is honor grounds, it still doesn't fully wall it off, but it's fine. No worries. After the depot on 23 supply, you want to be adding gas and continuously make SCVs. That's something you always want to do, no matter what the build order is. Continuously make SCVs, continuously make Marines, just continuously produce out of all your production buildings. So I'll speed things up a bit. As soon as the factory is done, you want to start the Widow Mine. I started Starport as well. The Reaper is still checking around. You can see that he scouted everywhere around my base to check for that dirty probe that sometimes make pylons and makes our life very, very hard. Once you have 16 SCVs in the main base and this one 17th, I start rallying my SCVs to the natural. because that's full saturation and you don't need any more SCVs after that. So Marines are still going up. What you want to do is make 2 Widow Mines and a medevac after this. Now, onto the Reaper. Another thing that I get asked very often when I coach people is, okay, now you told me what am I scouting with the SCV, but what is then Reaper supposed to do? Am I checking for a third base? No, at this point it's too early for a third base. So what you want to do is scout one of the 3 main tech structures that the Protoss basically has to go for, which is Twilight Council, a Stargate, or a Robo. And that, based on that information, you will play specific ways, which I will touch a little bit later on. So as you can see, the Reaper is trying to go in, gets denied. But at this point, you don't need the Reaper for anything else. You know, you're not going to save it for your main army composition. So what I just want to do is get scouting on what he's going for. You can see the Reaper died, but he did see the Stargate. And for those who maybe not know, you can see what the Protoss is making out of Stargate by just zooming in and looking. And this is an Oracle. You can also see a Void Ray, you can see a Phoenix, a Carrier, and so on. So I can see he's making an Oracle. So what you usually do with this build is you want to drop 2 Widow Mines in his mineral line and try to kill some probes. But because I scouted that he's doing Oracle, I want to play it safe. I don't want to take any risks. So I will be leaving 1 Widow Mine in my main base, and I will be just dropping 1 Widow Mine just to get some harass going, maybe scout what he's doing, his transition, and so on. For those who maybe not know, 6 Marines kill an Oracle. So if you have 5, they're going to be dying to an Oracle. 6 or more kill an Oracle. Just a very, very important thing to know. After this, you can see my transition. I keep making supply depots, keep making units. After 2 Widow Mines, I make a tech lab. After the medevac is done, I make a tech lab on the starport as well. Now, a cute trick you can do after, since I know that he's going for Stargate and Oracles, you should burrow your Widow Mines like this when you defend against Oracles. You can see that the Widow Mine is burrowed just behind the orbital. So this is his vision. If he comes in with the Oracle, he doesn't actually see the Widow Mine with that little, you know, burrowed animation, or I don't know how to call it. And since my SCVs are mining on these 4 mineral patches, he will be going for them, and the Oracle, you know, does its job. Meanwhile, in my main base, I have all the Marines here defending this mineral line, so my base is protected, number 1, and natural as well, from the Oracle, while harassing at the same time. So the Oracle is going in, the 1 Widow Mine is going to be dropped in the natural. So what you can do is you can leave the Widow Mine, which I would suggest in lower leagues, because players, Protoss players have really hard time dealing with the Widow Mines. So I would suggest just leaving it in the mineral line for them to just worry about it. But what I like to do is I just like to pick up the Widow Mine and not let it be killed for free, and then just redrop it later. Meanwhile, the Oracle arrives in my base, and basically what I just told you guys happens. He goes for the harass, he doesn't see the Widow Mine, boop, kills 1 SCV and dies. Okay, so the medevac is going to be waiting here for a bit, and then I'm going to redrop it when the Widow Mine is charged again. Meanwhile, my transition back at home. Now this is a very important part. If I face a Robo plus Blink, I will be making 2 to 3 siege tanks and then push later with it. But because I know this is a Stargate build, and Stargate build is often, or basically 90% of the times, followed up with a fast third base, a Forge, and a Twilight with +1 weapons for the Adepts, because then they 2-shot Marines when Marines do stim, and a Adept attack speed. So because I know he's going Stargate, I will just be making 1 siege tank, and I'm making Raven behind this. So no matter what you're facing, you want to make at least 1 siege tank and a Raven. Raven is a thing that will just keep you safe. It will deny the observers. It's very good against Adepts, it's very good against Blink Stalkers, and also you're safe against DTs if they come later on. Or for example, if you don't face a Stargate, if the opponent goes for Twilight and DTs, well, you're going to be safe against that. After I finish the tank and the Raven, I lift the both both buildings up, make reactors on them, and you can see I'm adding double racks, which I'll be landing on these 2 tech labs. You can see the engineering bay is going up for the +1 upgrade, and as soon as you add the double racks, you want to take the double gas and natural as well. You don't need the missile turrets yet, because for now you're playing passive, as you can see I am. So I have all the units in my main base, so you don't really need to make missile turrets yet. You want to make them later on as you move out. The medevac is going for a redrop. Force is another pro pull, which is pretty good. I try to pick up, the Phoenix comes though. He picks it up, but the medevac gets away, so it's all good. Third base for Protoss is going up. Meanwhile at my home, the Raven is here, Siege Tank is here. Double gas on the natural going up like I've mentioned earlier. You can see that the +1 is being researched as well. Stim started, and at this point what I'm doing is I sent an SCV around, and where the SCV is going, it's going to check the third base. No matter what you're playing against, no matter what the opponent's Protoss' opener is, whether it's Robo after expanding or Twilight or Stargate, you want to make sure that he's making a third base, because if he's not, he's probably all-inning at this point. And if he is, you just need to defend, stay defensive, and let him kill himself, basically. Because I sent the SCV, I see the third base, I see what units he has, so this tells me, because of this many adepts, that he is going for adept speed, attack speed, and +1, which is again a very common transition with Phoenix. So back at home, you can see Stim is halfway done. I'm about to start shields. +1 is halfway done. Full saturation on the natural. I stopped making SCVs here because I want to get my third base going as well as I'm moving out. Because again, this is not an all-in build. It's a very safe build. Early on, the transitions into very, very strong timing push that a lot of Protosses have problems dealing with. And like I said, as you're moving out, you make a third base. You can see that the upgrades are lining up. Stim pack, combat shields, and +1. After 3 medevacs, I transition into liberators and just reactor widow mines. So I'll speed up things a bit. You can see the third base is going up. I resume my SCV production very soon. And slowly I move across the map. So I'm scanning. I make sure that I don't get caught off guard, because if you do get caught while you're moving out like this, you actually might just lose the game. So what most Protosses will try to do is they will try to shade on top of your Marines, so the widow mines kill your own Marines. You need to prevent that. That's the most important things when you face mass adepts, not only with this build, but just in any situation. So excuse me. Every time you see Protoss shading in, you will see me trying to split Marines away from his army. I brought a couple of SCVs. It's not a bad idea if you do face a Phoenix or Stargate opener into mass adapt to bring a couple of SCVs, make some missile turrets to prevent the Phoenix from lifting your siege tank or picking off your liberators or just picking up your widow mines. So you can see he's shading in again. I'll keep the speed at normal just so you guys can see in more details what's going on. And here he's about to shade. So you can see my Marines are way in the back away from adepts, because again, I want to stay as far away from them as I can because of the widow mine splash. One thing that some of you may not be aware, PDD blocks adept shots because they are projectiles, and Raven PDD blocks all projectile shots in the game. So for example, from Protoss Unix, Phoenix is a projectile shot, Stalker shooting is a projectile as well, Adept is a projectile. So you want to be using PDD against those units. But if you're facing a Zealot Immortal Void Ray, you want to be using turrets, because PDD will not help you against any of those. And Seeker Missile, do not use it this early. It's not going to work out. So as you can see, I'm going to be sieging up liberators. I have widow mines, 6 widow mines set up, which is a lot for this stage in the game. And he will be shading in, my Marines all the way in the top. Widow mines going off on the adepts. PDD preventing the adepts from killing the siege tank as fast as they normally would. And I'm slowly moving forward, but at this point you can see the supply. The game is pretty much over. So the whole point in this build is to hit a very, very strong timing with Raven, with siege tanks, and a bunch of Widow Mines, and of course the double Liberator as well, and a bunch of Steam Marines. If I look back at my home, the third base is almost done. +1 armor is going up. Soon I'll be adding +3 Raxes right here. Just again transitioning into a normal long macro game. You're always going to do some damage with this. I never had a game where I pushed out and I at least didn't trade my whole army for his whole army. So this is not an all-in build by any means. You still transition. Yes, you do get a later third, but your tech is way better than what Protoss has. So because I brought a couple of SCVs and I crushed the first push, what I do here is I make some bunkers and more missile turrets just to ensure that I can't lose this position from here on out. I'm waiting for the pylon to run out, push in. He does the overcharge again, making some bunkers because the depths, again, they're very bad against buildings, so why not? Back at home, the 3 racks are going. You want to be adding armor in an engineering bay, which I think I added a bit late this game. Again, he's going out with shades, he's splitting on my Marines, but you can see I'm running away because I don't want to be dying to Splash of the Widow Mines while he does that exact thing. If you re-watch this video, you'll see that every time he goes in, I kill the observer instantly because I have a Raven here. And even if the Raven dies, you want to kill the observers as fast as possible. Because if you look, I still have 5 Widow Mines, which is so many for him to deal with, just mass adept. From this point on, I just slowly push. Don't risk anything with, doing drops, because there's Phoenix, there's no need for that. And from here on out, just slowly push and win the game. This is this replay is specific to the Stargate opener. You would push exactly the same way if he was doing a Blink Robo build. You would just make 1 or 2 more siege tanks, do the exact same push, exact same timing. You would also use PDDs against Stalkers, so don't get confused by that. Turrets are again only good against Zealots and Immortals. And for Protoss, it's extremely hard to engage in all of this. You can see the missile turrets are going up, the Phoenix are basically useless. He can't even see the Widow Mines. And yeah, that's it. This build is something you can use in every single game because there's no hard counter. Once again, you can see the observer dying. There's no hard counter, so make sure, just get practice with the build. The build is very good. A lot of the pro players are using it, and a lot of the Protoss players are struggling to deal with it. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, but I know what a lot of you might be thinking, which is, well, this build is really cool, but I wish there's a way to actually get to this point because I get pylon rushed a lot on my ladder games. Well, I have very good news. I did make also a video how to defend pylon rush 1 base all in, followed up by proxy oracles right after that. So if you're interested in that, which I'm sure you are, just click the video above me, which should be somewhere there. I'm not sure yet. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll be making more of these in future, so make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching.